Hi there. My name's Songbird. Welcome to the vault. It's fake. Fake truths. Fake news. Horse shit. All part of the biggest, dirtiest, most far-ranging conspiracy of all time. That's like, ever. And over the course of this series of transmissions, I'm gonna prove it to you. It's all here in the files. Don't go anywhere. This is full disclosure. All the way. And tonight we're talking Roswell. The fake balloon story. And it is fake. Fabricated. Whatever they've tried to tell you, however they've tried to convince you, whatever the so-called evidence they've put before you, it's all a lie. The official story, it's fake, synthetic, silicone, about as real as a Botox bug rat belly side up. Simple fact is Roswell was real. In fact, more than just real. As I mentioned last time, the files log the Roswell crash as having been the single most standout event in modern history. And in just a moment, we're gonna find out why. We'll find out too why the files also log Roswell as an event about which the truth must never be known, and a truth that must remain concealed in perpetuity. Guess they're pretty serious about that. Before we do that though, let's take a moment to acquaint ourselves with the official story, the fake balloon story, the one peddled for so many years by the military and of course the one the authority wants you to believe. Here it is, verbatim. Project Mogul Flight Number 4. Launch date, June 4th, 1947. Location, Alamogordo Army Airfield, New Mexico, 90 air miles due west of Roswell. It's the fourth in a series of launches involving high-altitude spy balloons carrying specialist equipment designed to detect the acoustic signals of Soviet nuclear tests high up in the atmosphere. According to the official story, within hours of the launch, the balloon crashed, spreading its debris over a wide area of the New Mexico desert somewhere between the towns of Roswell and Corona. The story says the debris consisted of shredded pieces of a tinfoil-like material, as well as bits of rubber and lengths of balsa wood. That's right. Tinfoil, rubber, balsa wood, adhesive tape. This, they say, is what witnesses must have mistaken for the debris of a crashed interstellar, interdimensional spaceship. I know. Totally feasible, right? Anyways, according to the latest official line, this is all you need to know about the so-called Roswell UFO incident. It was a crashed spy balloon. End of story. For the record, as you might expect, the files stored down here in the vault disagree with this assessment, and there's good reason for that. For one thing, this official U.S. Air Force file is fake. It's a forgery. As I mentioned a moment ago, the balloon the military are talking about here was officially designated Flight Number 4 due to it being the fourth in a series of Project Mogul test flights flown out of Alamogordo Army Airfield in 1947. Problem is, Project Mogul Flight Number 4 never happened. Look, this is a quote from a U.S. Air Force special report documenting every research balloon flight that took place, including all Project Mogul flights from 1945 through 1985. The document was compiled by the U.S. Air Force Geophysics Laboratory at Hanscom Air Force Base in Bedford, Massachusetts. Here's what it says. All the balloon flights are documented in this report by year and date, and as you can see, under the year 1947, next to the date, the 5th of June, it says the first Army Air Forces research balloon launch. That's a Project Mogul balloon launch right there. The first Army Air Forces research balloon launch was conducted at Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico, June 5th, 1947. At that time, Holloman Air Force Base was known as Alamogordo Army Airfield. As I mentioned in Transmission 2, this is where President Roosevelt and two of the senior Magic 12 group members attended the first virtual meeting with the visitors in June 1944, exactly 3 years prior to the Roswell crash. It's also where all the Project Mogul spy balloons were launched. Now the problem with this document is staring us right in the face. It states right here, clear as high water that the first Army Air Force's research balloon, that's the Project Mogul spy balloon. It says the first Army Air Force's research balloon was launched on June 5th, 1947. Let me repeat that. The first Army Air Force's research balloon was launched on June 5th, 1947, and it was officially called Flight Number 5. Significantly, Flights 2, 3, and 4 had all been canceled due to bad weather. I'll come back to this point in a moment. But to clarify here, the official story claims the balloon that was supposed to have crashed at Roswell was Project Mogul Flight Number 4. I repeat, and forgive me if I sound a little fastidious here, but I want to drive this all the way home. The official line says that Flight Number 4 was the balloon that crashed at Roswell and was mistaken for a flying saucer. I mean, it looks just like one, right? You know what I'm saying? The file says the balloon was launched on June 4th and was officially logged as Flight Number 4. Yet a day later, on June 5th, Flight Number 5 was launched and officially logged here in this special report as the first Army Air Force's research balloon to be launched. Flight Number 5, June 5th, 1947. This same date is cited in several other official sources too. NASA cites it. Holloman Air Force Base Official History on Balloon Projects cites it. And so does the U.S. Air Force Historical Research Agency. They all cite Mogul Flight Number 5 as being the first successful Project Mogul flight, and they're all correct. Because although Flight 1 was successfully launched as a kind of proto-test flight back in April of that year, Flights 2, 3, and more importantly Flight Number 4 were all canceled due to adverse weather conditions. This is even confirmed in the U.S. Air Force own official archive. Look here, it says against June 4th, no balloon flight again on account of clouds. Are you getting this? Project Mogul Flight Number 4 never happened. It was canceled due to the wind and heavy cloud cover that resulted in the fierce electrical storm responsible for bringing the visitor's craft down later that night. Again, I'll come back to this point later. So what are you thinking? Are you with this? I mean, there's plenty more evidence out there for you to munch on, all you can eat, so don't take my word as gospel on this. Gotta tell you though, the files we're accessing here tell us loud and clear exactly what I'm telling you. The weather balloon story, the Project Mogul spy balloon story. It's all horseshit, all part of the government's deny, debunk, and disinform strategy initiated to deflect the truth from you, me, and everybody else. Not only the truth about Roswell, but about a whole raft of other shit too. Bottom line, it was a UFO that crashed at Roswell. Or if you prefer it, a UAP. It was a non-human intelligence craft, an extraterrestrial reconnaissance craft. And before I'm done, I'm gonna prove it to you. Slam dunk. Stay with me. Okay, gonna pull up this file here. Like all the other Roswell files hidden away down here, it'll tell you that what crashed out there in the New Mexico desert was not a balloon, but a non-human intelligence craft, or as the files actually have it, an extraterrestrial recon craft, a reconnaissance craft. They'll also tell us what happened to the craft and its occupants once it had been recovered. Here we go, look. The craft, an extraterrestrial reconnaissance craft, later referred to as a special reconnaissance craft, was retrieved and transported to Wright Field by way of Fort Worth, Texas. More on that in a bit. The point here being that it was a recon craft, a reconnaissance craft, as we discussed last time. This tells us that the visitors weren't just out joyriding or here looking for a fight. It tells us they were on a recon flight, what otherwise we could refer to as an observation flight, or maybe even a spying mission, referred to in military terms as a special reconnaissance mission. Question is, what were they hoping to see? The file also confirms that the Roswell craft was disc-shaped, similar in every respect to the 9 disc-shaped crafts spotted by Kenneth Arnold flying close to Mount Rainier in Washington state around the same time as the Roswell crash. The sighting I told you about in the last transmission. In the days following Arnold's sighting, remember, more than 1,000 other flying saucer sightings were reported in more than 40 states nationwide. A fact that pretty much confirms the Roswell craft was not alone, and the files confirm that too. Fact is, Again, as we saw last time, there were multiple visitor craft buzzing American skies in 1947. Either that, or the military were launching a hell of a lot of balloons that year. But joking aside, whatever was happening, it was enough to panic the military into putting out the weather balloon cover story, as this next file shows. Look at this. It's an internal memo for the attention of all U.S. Army Air Forces personnel, and it contains the original order issued from the Foreign Technology Desk deep inside the Pentagon. The order is dated July 8, 1947, and it reveals how the balloon crash was deliberately engineered as a cover story. Here, look. Memorandum for all U.S. Army Air Forces personnel. Subject: public assurance about recent events in Roswell, New Mexico. Then priority: all news outlets to receive copy of official crashed weather balloon story. Repeat: all news outlets to receive copy of official crashed weather balloon story. Await further instructions. This memo was cooked up by the Foreign Technology Division Public Affairs Office, which was based at Wright Field under the command of Magic 12 Honcho General Nathan F. Twining, whose name appears at the foot of the memo. The U.S. Army Air Force Foreign Technology Division, remember, was the highly classified Army Air Force department that specialized in back engineering captured enemy technology, German, Russian, alien, better described these days as non-human. It was where the Roswell craft was taken apart and reassembled before being shipped out to Area 51 in Nevada. Area 51. The file's got a lot on that superstar. Gonna take a look around at some point down the line, so be prepared for that. If ever you can be. Right now, though, back to the Roswell files. One thing they don't stipulate, leastways so far as what's contained in the files I've managed to access thus far, one thing they don't stipulate is what exactly caused the Roswell craft to crash. But they do stipulate this. As I mentioned earlier, there was a supercell thunderstorm raging over New Mexico that night, the night of the crash. Now, if you look for that storm in New Mexico's historical weather records, you won't find it. It ain't there, like it never happened. Something to do with the authority in Magic 12 and the concept of a cover-up, if you get my meaning. But if you could talk to those who were there that night, they'd tell you something different. In fact, they'd tell you two things. First, they'd tell you it was the most supermassive electrical storm they'd ever witnessed, powerful enough to have whipped up tornadoes and knock out the electricity supply to a whole bunch of New Mexico households. And second, they'd tell you about the out-of-control flying saucer they saw come crashing down on account of the storm's ferocity. And these eyewitness accounts would tally exactly with what's recorded in the files. Now, like I said, the only thing the files don't stipulate categorically is what exactly caused the craft to crash. But what they do suggest is that the craft was brought down by the storm. Or more specifically that, look here, that what this file here refers to as the craft's electromagnetically generated anti-gravity field, the field that powered its propulsive force, that this anti-gravity field was knocked out by a highly charged lightning strike. Okay, I know, seems like a long shot. I mean, we know a lot about the craft from what's been back engineered over the decades, and knowing what we now do about its reflex maneuver capabilities, that it was able to hit right-angle turns and spontaneous ascents and descents at speeds of more than 7,000 miles an hour. The lightning strike, if that's what it was, must have been freak in the extreme. Like a rattlesnake striking a desert mosquito. Chances? About 1,000,000 to 1, but I guess sometimes the long shot comes home. Look, I think maybe I should interject here and mention something very briefly that I believe you should know about. Something that's known down here as the Lost Roswell file. That's right. I can't tell you too much right now because I've yet to see it myself, but from what I've been told, it does contain the exact reason the craft came down, as well as who or what was piloting the craft and other details currently unknown. But one person I know for sure who's seen the file confided to me that it blows everything we know about Roswell and the visitors out of the water. It's that big. As we speak, I'm doing my best to access the file myself. Once I do, I'll let you all in on it. I know I can lay my hands on the decryption keys. I'll need to read the file once I locate it. But in order to do that, I'll need first to find my way in past all the layers of armor, all the multi-factor authentication codes and quantum unique passwords that protect it. Buddy, they're about as paranoid as an acid-tripping goose about this one. For one thing, it's been buried away in a section of the archives only God and his homies can readily access. I'm making progress, though. Give me time. Hopefully I'll have something for you soon. Meantime, piecing together what few references there are in the files currently at my disposal, it would seem the electrical storm scenario is the most likely explanation, that the craft's electromagnetic fields were momentarily shorted out, causing it to lose power and control. But be all that as it may, what we know for sure is that the craft came down, and that it must have been traveling at some speed when it did, because it hit the ground with sufficient force to create not one but two impact sites, miles apart. As many of you probably know, the first impact site was discovered by local rancher Mac Brazel, and contained what the files describe as hundreds of fragments of the craft's outer protective skin, which had been fractured on impact and scattered over an area the size of several football fields. The second impact site was discovered a few days later. I'll go straight to the files for this description. The craft impacted the ground at the first crash site, causing its outer protective skin to shatter and scatter. On impact, the craft effectively bounced and flew on for several miles before crashing into the foot of a rock face. The crash was terminal, but the craft remained largely intact. The files also tell us that 4 non-human crew members were found at this second impact site, one of whom survived. The 3 dead crew members were retrieved and autopsied by the military, while the 4th still living crew member was taken to a secure medical facility but died soon after. The craft itself was transported back to Roswell Army Airfield's Hangar 84 and examined by a team of military scientists and engineers. Later, debris from the crash was taken to Fort Worth Army Airfield in Texas before being sent on to Wright Field in Dayton, Ohio, where, as I mentioned just now, the U.S. military's Foreign Technology Division was based. At some point later, I haven't yet been able to access the file that records exactly how long the craft was kept at Wright Field, but at some time later, it was transferred to a secure facility close to Las Vegas Army Airfield near Groom Lake in Nevada, a facility that would later become known as Area 51. It was here that the process of back-engineering the craft's super advanced technology began in earnest. Now let me stop you right here. This is crazy-ass stuff, right? I mean, it's out there, way across the boundary line. But all I can say is, as an anonymous face inside the authorities' Project Blue Moon Special Access Group, and a former long-serving officer inside what used to be known as the Foreign Technology Division, and what today has morphed into the National Air and Space Intelligence Center, or NASIC, I can 100% vouch for this version of events. I've worked the shifts inside the hangars. I've seen the files. I've shown you extracts from the files, and I will show you more. Unlike the government and the military, these files do not lie. That's why they're hidden away, destined never to be declassified. But of course, you don't have to take my word at face value. In fact, I'd rather you didn't. As I said earlier, for those of you blessed with healthy levels of curiosity and skepticism, there's a heap of solid evidence out there in the public domain for you to munch on. Check it out. Okay. Damn it. Sorry, folks. Time for me to vamoose before the night security checks rock up. We'll talk what really happened at Roswell next time. The facts. Open the files on the witnesses who were silenced. Some you might have heard of, others you definitely haven't. Meantime, don't forget to subscribe and hit like and leave a comment and all that stuff. And if you're wanting some backstory on me, there's a video by that name somewhere on the channel. Check it. It'll tell you all you need to know. Okay, I'm out. Stay alive. I'll be back.